And we're here with Ian Rapoport from NFL Network. And Ian, great time to talk to you again. Good to see you on
something
Radio
going
Row.
on?
There's a lot happening. And if it isn't Derek Carr going to New Orleans, where do you think a good fit for Derek Carr is?
I mean, I do like the fit in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And, you know, the fact that he, as we speak right now, is in New Orleans visiting with his old friend Dennis Allen, who obviously you guys know well and he knows well. You know, I think that's significant. The fact that the Saints got permission to speak with him is significant to me. It means they're serious. It means they would do a deal. Now, I don't know what Derek Carr wants. He has a no-trade clause. Obviously, he gets his say on there, on that. But to me, it's a really good spot.
What I find fascinating is his compensation, which we agreed to with the Raiders. Now he's moving on. Is that the market for him, or you think it's a bigger or lesser market for him, that money?
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting because I could sort of, you know, I think that would be an okay salary for him. And, you know, he sort of joked about how he played this year, so I don't think it's going crazy to say he could have played a little bit better. Had he played to his capability, the salary would have probably been no big deal. I'm fascinated by what the market will show because, you know, if they do a trade, then I think there's no market and he lands in a fantastic spot. Either way, the Raiders are going to unload the salary, so it's almost immaterial to them almost. But if he does get free, it's going to be interesting to see because my guess is Garoppolo makes somewhere between 25 and 30.
Okay.
I would imagine Carr makes somewhat similar, right? So if you're talking, you know, if that's the case, then that's probably the same guaranteed money as he's going to get anyway. So that's why, to me, a trade has always made sense, but obviously Derek has to want to do it because he has the no-trade clause.
Ian Rapoport joins us, knowing the Raiders, where they are in the cap and cap space, and the draft equity Dave Ziegler has. Does Aaron Rodgers make sense to you, considering what they have to do rebuilding the defense with all the stars Aaron Rodgers would play with as assets and weapons on the outside?
It makes sense to consider it, and I think the Raiders will and should. To actually do the deal, I mean, the problem is, I could say to you, I have all the reasons why it doesn't make sense, right? I'm not going to say they're rebuilding, but they are retooling, a little bit younger. Cap situation's not great. They had a quarterback come in and play pretty good at the end of the year. So, like, I have no idea what Jarrett Stidham's going to be, but there were some signs that maybe he's pretty good.
So from a 10-win team to a 6-win team that blew 5 second-half big leads, double-digit leads, where do you think Josh McDaniels is more comfortable with? A C.J. Stroud at 7, moving up to get a Bryce Young, having that franchise
Let me go back to
quarterback?
let me answer your first question first, right? So, you know, you could say it doesn't make sense to get Aaron Rodgers. The problem is he's Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
And if you guaranteed any team that you could have Aaron Rodgers, then you got one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. That's the problem is I can give you a lot of reasons why it doesn't make sense, but it's still Aaron Rodgers, and you have to think about it. As far as the other question, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if the Raiders do both.
Okay.
Let's just assume Rodgers doesn't happen. Let's just say that, okay? Then they have Jarrett Stidham, who looked good. They draft someone, whoever it is, and they move forward with both, and then when whoever they draft is ready, then they play him.
Wrapping it up with you, I want to talk about the footprint of Vegas with the trips you've been there so far to see the Raider facility, Allegiant Stadium, what Mark Davis has done to build that brand. We got a Super Bowl. You'll be there next year with us on Radio Row. What do you think of the Las Vegas Raiders as a business going forward with the NFL?
I could not love it more.
Great.
I could not. Of all the things I've had where I've covered the NFL, and there's plenty of stories that I've had, plenty of stories I've missed, plenty of stuff I don't remember from the last 10 years. I will never forget where I was standing when I heard the rumor that Mark Davis was in Vegas with Sheldon Adelson, I think, at that time.
Adelson,
And I reached out to a high-ranking league source, and I'm like, isn't this ridiculous? And the response I got was, why? And I'm like, oh my God, this actually may happen. And it was so mind-blowing that the Oakland Raiders could actually move to Vegas and the NFL could set up the footprint that they have in Vegas now. It's crazy to me. It is brilliant. It looks awesome.
It is
The
amazing,
stadium could not be better for the team that it represents.
It's perfect.
I love where the Raiders are going forward. I think they're in good hands from a football sense and business sense. And I look forward to next year's Super Bowl.
Last one, you're on with Pat McAfee a lot. You see FanDuel, you see DraftKings, you see the gambling aspect. If we talked about that 5 years ago or even longer than that, Tony Romo couldn't have his fantasy camp in Vegas, fantasy football party there. So what's going to happen going forward? How is the NFL thinking about this gambling partnership early and going forward?
Well, I mean, the NFL does have gambling partnerships, and teams have gambling partnerships. Teams have opened up sports books. I would expect it only to increase. And I mean, there's a lot of interest. I think it makes it fun for people. I don't gamble myself. I'm not allowed to. But I do appreciate why other people like it, and I think it's only increasing.
What a revenue stream.
Seems to be giving a lot of money, yes.
Ian, thanks for doing this. All the best.
Man.
Thanks for coming on.